wonderful interns that came out today. So for those of you who weren't able to make it to the open house, my name is Janelle. I am the ACM president for this year. And just to give a brief overview of ACM, we're an organization for anybody interested in tech. We're a place where you can learn new topics, boost your resume with new skills that you learn here. You can meet some of your classmates, make some new friends, as well as meet company representatives and network and recruit. And then we also do some volunteer events, primarily with local schools, or last year we partnered with the food bank. And then we also do competitions. And so if you missed our open house, it has a ton of information about ACM and all of our sub-organizations and things like that. And you can watch that on our YouTube channel, which is ACM-W Socials. So if you are not already registered as a member, it is completely free, and it's imperative that you do so if you want to get the benefits of being a member. So to become a full-fledged member, you need to attend about 20% of our meetings, which is around 7 meetings per semester. This can be ICPC, Rowdy Creators, any meeting, ACM-W, ACM, and then our hackathons will be worth some more meeting points for you. And once you reach this 20% threshold, you'll be eligible for benefits such as swag and giveaways, our t-shirt, as well as an invite to our spring celebration and networking event. So go ahead and scan that QR code if you haven't, or you can go to our website, /member_new and register. So if you haven't done so already, do that now, because I'm about to put up the sign up link, and you'll need to be a registered member to sign up. So if you aren't already connected with us, primarily all of our platforms, Discord, YouTube, Twitch, all of our social medias are ACM-W Socials. So I'll leave this up just to get a quick glimpse, and you can go through. This information is also all in our Discord under our resources channel. So if you just join the Discord using that link, then you'll be all set. We have a wonderful opportunities calendar that our public relations officer and membership officer have been working on. This upcoming week, there are a bunch of opportunities. You can scan that QR code for the full list. But these are just some of the events on that list. We have some career fairs and some hackathons that you can attend. And we will also be dropping that link periodically in the Discord. And a featured opportunity to look out for is on September 24th from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. Valero is going to be hosting a career fair. Valero is one of the companies that makes ACM possible by sponsoring us, and so if you want to learn more about Valero and the positions that they offer there, you can go ahead and scan that QR code or register on Handshake. And again, that will be September 24th from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. And that's also on our opportunities calendar. Another opportunity is if you want to get involved on the organizing side, you can become a junior officer. A junior officer basically shadows a current officer in order to learn about the position, help out with some of the organizing. You get something nice to put on your resume. You also get to meet all the officer team, and we spend quite a lot of time together, so it's a great way to meet new people. If you're interested, scan that QR code for the interest form. And then at our next general meeting, we will be electing a social officer. Currently, that position is vacant. So if you're the type of person that likes social media, likes to plan social events, would like to give away a bunch of prizes, I'm sure you would be our member's favorite person. Make sure to apply at the QR code. And we will also have this information posted throughout Discord and such with this flyer. So if either of those sounds like anything you'd be interested in, make sure to scan those QR codes really quick, or else you can find the information in our Discord a bit later. Our upcoming events is tonight in the same place. We have our first general meeting for Rowdy Creators. They're doing 3 projects, one with a drone, one with a VR game, and one with steganography. And so if you're interested in building any of those projects, learning how to build them, get on a team, be sure to come to the meeting at 6 p.m. It will be here in person, but also streamed to Discord. And then this weekend we have ICPC from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. That will be on their Discord channel. And you can find these events in the announcements post that was made at the beginning of the week in our Discord announcements channel. Looking even further ahead, we have an ACM-W meeting next week. It's going to be a panel with a bunch of women in tech. That's going to be Thursday, September 23rd from 2 to 3 p.m. And that will be a hybrid format. And you can find the flyer next week in our Discord. And then also register for Code Quantum. Code Quantum is our hackathon focused on marginalized genders in tech. And so if you identify with a marginalized gender, be sure to sign up for that hackathon. And you can meet a community of people giving workshops or hacking in order to get connected here and also win prizes and boost your resume with the project. All right, so like I mentioned, here's a sign-in link for today. Make sure that you are already a registered member. And then this will be one of your 7 meetings in order to get our benefits throughout the rest of this semester. And an invitation to our banquet in the spring. So I will leave this up for a couple more seconds. You can also go to our website and /sign-in/ACM, and that will take you to the same page. And this will also be shown at the end of the event. So if you're not a registered member, make sure to do that, and then you will be able to sign in more towards the end of our event. So without further ado, let's get to why we're all here today to talk to some amazing interns that we have here. So I will hand it over to our Public Relations Officer, Trey, to talk to our panelists.
Good afternoon, everyone. As Janelle said, I am Trey D'Amico, a Public Relations Officer for ACM UTSA, a Senior Computer Science major. And I am happy to be presiding over this panel today. So how this is going to work is that we have some questions that are prepared already for our panelists, but every few questions or so, we will open the floor for questions for everyone watching at home to everyone that is watching live here in Watama. Just make sure to, if you're here live in Watama, raise your hand and speak clear and concisely. And in the chat, we'll be keeping track of that as well. And without further ado, let's start with some introductions from our panelists. Please say your name, your classification, your major, where you interned, and what your position was.
Hi, I'm Desiree Garcia. I'm a computer science major with a math minor and physics minor, and I'm a senior. And I interned at the Princeton Plasma Physics Laboratory in the spring and Paycom in the summer.
Hi, I'm Lisa Isaiah. I am a senior computer science major with a concentration in cybersecurity. I interned with the Stanford agency over the summer, and I was a management analysis intern.
Hello, my name is Joshua Nesso. I'm a statistics and data science major with a concentration in biology, minors in math and Spanish. I'm currently a junior, and I interned for Stanford School of Medicine, Department of Immunology, working in bioinformatics, specifically machine learning.
Hi, I'm Elijah Moya, and I'm a junior computer science major and also the membership officer for ACM. So my internship was at Geekdom. It was a marketing role, but also kind of branched out into a lot of different programs that they held.
Hello, my name is Ryan White, and I'm a senior cybersecurity major. This summer I interned at Verizon as a cybersecurity intern, and then I just accepted a new internship with a cybersecurity firm, Arctic Wolf, where I would be a triage security analyst.
Excellent, thank you all very much. So to start us off, how did you find the internship opportunities that you were applying for during the application process?
Well, for the first one in the spring, the Princeton one, I knew that I wanted to work at a national lab. So I found a really good internship where you can just apply to a SULI program And it kind of just throws your resume out to all the national labs across the US. And if they like your resume, then whoever will contact you. So I think it's really good because like 5 different national labs reached out to me. So that's how I got the Princeton one. And for Paycom, I had always seen the like recruiter at the career fair, but my friend Rishi, he was a tutor, and he kind of like told me that I should apply for it, and I did. And that's basically how I got that one. So that's, yeah.
For the Defense Logistics Agency, I pretty much applied for that one through Handshake. It's labeled as Department of Defense College Acquisition Internship Program. You can go ahead and apply there. I also threw a link in Discord in our work and internship channel. The link is there too, if you're ever interested in applying. But yeah, I applied through Handshake, and after a few months, I heard back, interviewed, and I was interning with them.
Yeah, so for the Stanford School of Medicine one, mine was through the Admin Scholars Program. The Admin Program is a biotech company, and they work with they're kind of similar to Pfizer, and they develop a bunch of stuff around the world, so like vaccines and all that cool stuff. But for me, I just applied through the website, and you have the option to choose among various universities, some are Stanford, Duke, Harvard, Princeton, and I just clicked on Stanford because I had a report to Cali, so, and then I got it, so that's my story.
And for Geekdom, it was part of the Honors College's City Semester program, where we kind of go out to the San Antonio area and kind of see what makes San Antonio beautiful. So I found that through the Honors College email that they send out weekly. So those emails are very helpful, and they have tons of information and opportunities for you.
Okay, so for my Verizon internship, I actually just applied directly on the Verizon website. If there is a company that you're specifically interested in, I just highly recommend going to their career page and applying directly to the internships on there. But of course, there's lots of great websites like Indeed, Glassdoor, where you can find other internships that might be popular in your area. That's a great way to do it as well. And then for my internship with Arctic Wolf, which is the cybersecurity firm, I know people always mention kind of when you're looking to get internships, it's not always about what you know, but it's about who you know. I have a good friend who works at Arctic Wolf, and although I did apply separately, I did have the employer on the inside who might have been able to say, some good things about me just because we had worked together previously in other roles in the student organization. So knowing people, networking and connections with people in companies that you want to work for is definitely very valuable.
Excellent. A lot of diverse ways that you can find your internship. But once they spot you as a potential candidate, you usually do have to go through an interview process. So what was that interview process like for you all?
Yeah, so both of mine were pretty similar. For Princeton, the first one was more technical and just seeing if I kind of knew what was on my resume and just like basic computer science problems. They just asked me some certain stuff about like fusion and plasma. And then the second interview was just kind of like to get to know me and see if I was a good fit for like their culture. And Paycom was really similar. The first one was a technical interview, and then the second one was just like getting to know me and how I would like contribute to their work environment.
So for my interview process, it was a phone call. It was all over the phone, and typically we, expect those video calls. But yeah, it was my first just phone interview. It was just several questions related to the STAR method. They really just want to see your thought process. It was mostly just behavioral and a lot of scenarios. They asked a lot of scenario-based questions. So, and then to be able to go through, that STAR method and explain to them, the situation, the task, and so on and so forth. Because yeah, they just really want to see how you work with others, your skills, and then they also ask where your interests lie, just because they want to set you up with a team that has similar interests with you, so that way you can work with in an area where you're most interested in as well.
Yeah, so for my internship, oddly enough, there was no interview process for me, but it was very similar to the graduate school application in which they give you a few essays that you have to write. The first essay for me was a diversity statement, so talk about your background, talk about your experiences, and how that contributes to who you are as a person. The second one was a statement of purpose, which basically wants you to talk about your past experiences academically and lab-wise. And then the last one was how has COVID-19 impacted your life? And basically those essays were the main driving force of the application, but in addition to that, you need to have 3 letters of rec. So for that, my advice for you is to get a really good professor or a few professors that you're really strong with and have them write you a strong letter of rec. So yeah.
And for City Master, it was, I guess I did 3 interviews. So the initial one was just to get into the program. So that was a kind of group interview, and it's very intimidating going into a group interview, kind of having not a lot of interview experience. So it kind of feels like a competition among you and the other people applying. So I think it's best to always just make sure, just kind of stick to what you want to say, kind of still be who you are, because it's important, and they can kind of see through if you try to put out a kind of facade. And after that interview, though, they went and matched me with Geekdom, where I had a secondary interview with them about kind of who I was, if I was a good fit for the team, if I could bring anything to the table. And then following that interview, just also just kind of meet the rest of the team and see how I fit with the rest of the team.
Cool. So for my Verizon internship, the process was pretty simple. After they had reviewed my application, my resume, they went ahead and sent me an online technical assessment. So I had to take a sort of exam to see where your skills lie, and also a little bit of a behavioral, not exam, but a questionnaire to see, how you are with teamwork and collaboration and things like that. After that, they reviewed my exam results and then scheduled an in-person interview with me. And the way they did it was actually pretty cool. It depends on the company, but for Verizon specifically, they had an entire event day dedicated to their candidates. So in the morning, we had this event where they were just explaining things about the company and what the cybersecurity department was like, and it was pretty much like the orientation basically, but prior to us ever interviewing, which was really interesting. And then in that event day, we had our interviews, and we had them with some of the security executives in the company. I know sometimes we'll just be interviewing with HR, but I really loved my experience because I got to chat with some of the security executives and we just had some really great conversations. If I could give any advice about the interviews, first off, I would say I don't like going into them as nervous, thinking about there's long answers to these questions, like what am I supposed to say? All of the interviews that I've had that have been successful, I made them a little bit more conversational. So even though I was required to answer specific questions, I also talked about things I'm passionate about and just had just chat with my interviewers, and those are the ones that actually went most successful for me because they also want to see your personality. Secondly, what I prepare for, I know for some of them you're going to have technical interviews, which I had with Arctic Wolf. And they're very similar. For my cybersecurity people, it was like, what's a phishing attack? Do you know the 7 layers of the OSI model? Like pretty basic things like that you probably do know if you're in your sophomore and junior year, which is typically when you're looking for internships. But some of the things when I first started interviewing for internships that the questions made me the most nervous were behavioral things like, tell me about a time that you failed, or tell me about a time when you were leading a team and something went wrong. And you have to come up with these situations on the spot. So now whenever I go into interviews, I always have my stories prepared because obviously I've had these experiences, but when you're told on the spot that you need to come up with them, your mind kind of goes blank. So I just make sure you have some of those things prepared and just look up the most common behavioral questions like that. That's the best advice I can give.
Awesome, and congratulations for overcoming that hurdle in the internship process. And before I ask this next question, after this question, we are going to open up the floor for any questions that you all may have. So some of you that are watching may have no experience at an internship or no experience applying to an internship and are really nervous about getting started. So next question is, how do you stand out when you are applying for an internship?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think that, like, at least for me, ever since my freshman year, I just tried to do anything I could to make sure I could really make my resume really good. So just being super involved in organizations and holding a lot of leadership roles and doing a lot of projects will really help you. Yeah, definitely projects are going to help you the most in getting internships. So just doing like anything you can outside of the classroom is what's really going to help you, I feel like.
Yeah, I totally agree with Desiree. So DLA was my first internship, and they love to hear experiences of you like in leadership positions or just being involved in general. Because you can have really good grades, but they want to see if you can work with a team. So that's very important. So I would say, go out and join different student boards if you can. Start off being a junior officer. That's exactly what I did in ACM-W. Started off as a junior officer, then became secretary. So a lot of my experiences, a lot of my conversations came from my time as secretary. And that's something that they just love to hear, those stories and seeing you work in that professional environment. So getting involved and then also doing side projects when you can is very important. And the piece of advice would also be just apply to everywhere. As one of my good friends said, she would just have me apply to at least 2 places every single day, which I did. And there's a lot of rejects, but you'll get your time. So just apply it everywhere we can and update your resume and just really speak about yourself in a really great light.
Yeah, that's a lot of great information, but to add on to what they said, definitely beef up that resume. For me specifically, one of the requirements was to work in a lab. However, if you've never worked in a lab, you can talk about previous lab experiences, such as like a bio lab on campus, and those are the ones you take for, at least for bio majors, the course requirement. However, I understand that a bunch of you are computer science majors, so my advice to you if you would like to apply for the Admin Scholar program is to do a bunch of datathons and hackathons, as these will count towards that experience. And I feel like datathons and hackathons go more in hand to what you're going to do on your day-to-day basis in research, at least for the bioinformatics aspect. But speaking about hackathons, the Quantum's coming up, so go and sign up, check out the website.
Yes, and kind of add on to Joshua's point with hackathons and datathons. It's very important to always in your resume, or I guess in general, if you're applying anywhere, it's always important to kind of present yourself as someone who always wants to learn. So always learning something new, whether that be for computer science majors learning a new language, even just the basics of it is important because it shows that you at least kind of want to know how it works. So when you're applying somewhere and they say, we only take people that know how to use C and Python, and you only know Java, even if you know just a little bit of Python, a little bit of C, and you show that on the resume, they'll be like, oh, well, he's willing to learn this, and he's kind of taking the steps to develop this professionally.
So Verizon was my first internship ever, and prior to that, I had no cybersecurity experience. So I guess I'll tell you the only 2 reasons basically I got that internship. The first one is because I held an officer role within my cybersecurity student organization. It doesn't have to be an officer role, you could just be a member, but as long as you're active and you say, I participate in this, I do this with my team, blah, blah, blah. That shows that you're involved on campus and that you're doing something to pursue your field outside of just your education, which is what they're really looking for. And the second only reason I probably got my internship was because, like Josh said, the competitions. I think I had about 5 competitions where I had placed that I was able to put on my resume and like, oh, second place in this competition. And they're super easy to access. They're free. I know your organization hosts them, my organization hosts them. You can find them everywhere, and they're really fun to put on your resume. So that's something that you can just do in your free time. That's exciting. That's still going to help your career so much.
Oh yeah, I forgot to say, like, also, I think that it's better to like, and even though it's a lot, it takes a lot more time, like, I don't think it's as great just having one resume and you just throw it out a bunch of places. Like, I definitely would look at the job and the company and kind of tailor my resume to each one. And I think that's super important to do too. Like, don't just throw your resume out everywhere without like really taking the time to look into what they're looking for so that you can fix your resume a little bit, tweak it a little bit depending on each role. So I think that's fine.
Excellent. Yeah, thank you so much for all of that advice for our listeners and viewers. Now I'd like to kind of open it up to the floor for questions in chat or here in the Ratama if anyone has any.
So, does that mention the STAR method for interviewing? She's going a little bit what that looks like.
Yeah, so to kind of repeat that question, Lizette, you mentioned the STAR method. Could you maybe go a bit more in depth about what that is?
Yeah, so the STAR method, basically, they want you to go through a scenario with them. It stands for situation, task. I forgot the A. Okay, I'm sorry, I forgot the A. The field trip online is there, and the R is the resolution. So they just want you, take a scenario and instead of going on about it like a story, it can get very easy to ramble on. I know sometimes I have an issue with that. So it's very structured. So, kind of give a brief overview on the situation. And then the task, like what were the requirements? If you have a project, what was the task at hand? For example, if you're looking at like a VR, AR type deal, you might want to look at a specific task like how do I know someone's not injecting an object, like a malicious hacker is not injecting an object there. So, you focus on that. And then you go into it, you go, what were the steps that you took to resolve it? So like what were the steps that you took to resolve it? And then, what did you contribute? You want to really hone in on what it is that you did specifically, and then that is like the perfect time to go ahead and talk about those skills that you have. And then, what came of that work, the work that you put in. So it's just I would definitely look up different STAR method examples online. It's very good to really narrow that down because, sometimes when we tell those stories, it's very difficult, you don't want to get your message lost. So even if you aren't in an interview where they're requiring the STAR method, if you are asked a question like, tell us a time where you worked with a team member, something like that, you might want to go ahead and take that approach because, it's very concise and it very, really hones in on, yourself, your skills, and, you want them to see that and love you. So.
Excellent, thank you. Are there any more questions from the audience? Yes, gentleman in the front.
Yes, this goes for all of you. Do you do your internship during the summer or during the school semesters?
Yeah. To repeat the question for those listening, did you do your internship during the summer or was it during the classes?
So I'll go ahead and start. So mine was over the summer. We did have the option to work into the semester. I unfortunately didn't see that, just because I things going on. But they're very flexible, the DLAs are very flexible. If you want to work into the summer or even into the spring semester, you can definitely talk to your supervisor, and they'll get with HR and then switch you over from an intern to like a temp employee, which is really neat because you can just be able to continue on your work with the government. So,
So for Princeton, it was virtual, and it was in the spring, but I could continue it in the summer. The only reason I didn't do that is because of Paycom, but I really wish I could have done that. But I'm already gonna do it, like next spring. So once you do a good job, especially with research, I feel like it's really easy to continue with it because there's just so much to do. So that was that one, and then Paycom was also virtual, and it was in summer, but they do have a program where if you're in Oklahoma, you can be in the office and you can continue for, I think like 15 hours a week you have to contribute at least in office. But obviously I'm not going to do that because I'm not.
So yeah, just like Desiree, the Stanford Summer Research Program, that was held virtually. I was given the opportunity to go there for a week, but after that I had to go back home to Magnolia and do it virtually, which kind of sucked, but at the same time it was kind of cool too. For us, depending on how well you do on your research, you will get an offer to continue on over in the fall. I got an offer, but due to courses here and other things that I'm doing at the university, I wasn't able to continue. But yeah, just do a good job, like Desiree said, your research, and you should receive a follow-up.
Yeah, so for Geekdom, mine was over the summer. The semester program goes from the start of June to about the middle of August, I think the week before school starts. My internship was in person, so I guess that's a little bit different from Hannah, is that mine's in person, and kind of same as the research and everything. I think even for most internships, there is an opportunity that if you do a good job and the people you work with are fond of you and want you to stay on the team, they will offer you a position. So it's important to always be at your internship and kind of showing that you want to continue with the team and that you enjoy what you're doing.
Cool. So my Verizon internship was in the summer. It was a normal 9-hour day, 7:30 to 4:30, for about 10 weeks. And I was, just as a side note, taking summer courses at the same time. So if anyone's wondering if it's possible, obviously it depends on your role, but I was able to take summer school while I was completing a 9-hour a day, 5 days a week internship. And then for my internship I'm about to begin at Arctic Wolf, it's going to be during the school year, and I'll work it for about 8 months until I graduate. And depending on the company, you're able to kind of negotiate how long you want to do it. So I didn't have to do it for 8 months, but that's just what I chose. And then you can, obviously, if you're a full-time student, they typically let you choose how many hours a week you're going to work, and fit it around your class schedule so you're not overwhelmed.
Yes, thank you all for the incredible detail in your answers. Are there any more questions in the audience before I move on? Yes, sir.
Okay, so I guess this question goes to both Ryan and Desiree. So as far as, because you guys took internships during the school year, or I suppose whenever you had classes. So my question is how did you manage it? I'm sure the classes as a whole, full much harder. Yeah, I'm sure, good time management, anything is possible, but in that scenario, what is some advice you can give to someone who wants to do both, school and an actual internship at the same time?
All right, to repeat that question for our viewers, how do you balance taking an internship and courses at the same time?
Yeah, I like that question. The Princeton, that's why I love Princeton one, because it was, pure research. So at that point, it's it's on you, you know, there isn't any strict hours, it's just as long as you get your work done with whatever time you have, you know, that's what it is. So I took 3 classes in the spring, and one wasn't really anything crazy, so it was basically like taking 2, and I think at that point I was just super excited and really motivated because it was my first internship, and I really liked the internship, so I just kind of was really excited to do everything, get my work done. So that one was really easy to do work because I could get my work done whenever. And Paycom was definitely a lot more structured. It was during the summer, like 8 to 5, and we would have like 5 meetings a day, like a lot of the times. So that one was a lot. And I took 1 class in the summer, and I was able to do it after, you know, so that one was a little more rough because it was like super structured, and we would have a lot of events in between. So I think it's just up to you. I think that people could definitely do classes, at least one with an internship.
I love this question because I think it's so important for a lot of people, just depending on your plan to get through college and everything. I will say, with a lot of things, it's up to your own discretion, and everyone has their own unique situations with school. So for me personally, the courses that I was taking along with my 9-hour normal internship were not courses that I'm taking right now, which I'm a little bit overwhelmed by. They were courses that I knew I would be able to balance my work along with. But if you ask me right now if I would do a full-time internship while being a student full-time, I would say no. And if you chose to do that, I might say you might be a little bit crazy, but I won't judge you. All power to you if you want to work full-time and be a student full-time. But it can get a little bit overwhelming. So it's up to your own unique situation. Obviously, you know what you can handle. I know what I can time manage, and you know what you can time manage. So I think everyone just has a really unique situation, and you really have to evaluate the workload of your classes along with the workload of your internships. Sometimes, like for me, I was very lucky because my courses kind of went along with the subject matter of my internship, so it wasn't like my brain was fighting 2 different battles. We were kind of fighting the same battle together, I guess you could say. So yeah, that's the advice I could give. It's just you have to evaluate your own situation, but definitely don't put too much on your plate because you're not going to be as successful if you're kind of overwhelming yourself.
Awesome, thank you for the insightful answers. I will be asking a couple more questions, and then I will be open for a game if we do have time. I did want to ask for our interns here, what was your day-to-day life like, your day-to-day duties during your internships?
So for Princeton, I only had 1 meeting a week. So it was pretty chill. I would just do my work all during the week and meet up with my mentors whenever I wanted. And as long as they can see that you're getting a lot of work done, they're not going to be on you too much. Because that's just kind of how research is. So I would do my research kind of whenever. I would do a lot of things in the morning. So that one was super flexible. But with Paycom, like I said, it was really structured. So I would start my day, start working at 8, and then I would stop at 5, and sometimes we would have little like team bonding things after that. So with Paycom, I really didn't have that much time, but I made sure to take a class that wasn't anything crazy. So I would just kind of do that one on the weekends or whenever I can.
So for my internship, so since it was remote, all of my coworkers, my team, they were all in Virginia. So I went based on their time. So my work hours were basically from 7 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. It wasn't anything too structured. So pretty much I was just doing independent work. I would get invited to meetings, it would be kind of spontaneous meetings, like, hey, meeting happening in 15 minutes, and we join. Or, I would join on several meetings from the team. My team works with like the government travel part and the government purchase part. So I would sit in meetings with leadership. And then every Friday we would have a team huddle with all of the interns, and we kind of talk about 3 things that we learned: the return on investment for the agency and the return on investment for ourselves. I pretty much had a lot of time. I pretty much had all day to work on stuff besides like meetings that I would join. Pretty much in the mornings when I got online, it was like sending emails to my team, hey, I'm online. And I'll be doing until 3:30 p.m. But yeah, you just get random, like, not random, but you get like other interns, other people just reaching out to you and just doing the meetings. So it was pretty chill.
So for me personally, I had to work in California time. So instead of working 8 to 5, I would work at 10 to 7. And throughout the day, my main tasks just consisted of cleaning up a bunch of data sets to be processed into machine learning later on. But in addition to all of that, or throughout the day as well, I would have to practice for the GRE practice exam that they hosted. So the GRE practice exam is kind of similar to the SAT, but for grad school. And in addition to that, I did have to take a few courses, such as a machine learning course, specifically for XGBoost, which is a classifier, and also a data structures course hosted by Stanford. So it was really, really busy, but very fun and rewarding at the end. But, it's not just work that we do. We also have fun. There was this one time where they literally sent out Formosa chocolates, which is like this really bougie chocolate. And all we did for like 3 straight hours was just eat chocolate right in front of our camera. It is pretty chill, pretty laid back. Just talk about it. So yeah, while it is a lot of hard work, it's definitely also some fun included in between.
Yes, for sure. There's a lot of fun in your internship, especially in person. So my hours are about 9 to 5, Monday to Thursday, and Friday was a class day for me for a program. But Monday to Friday, 9 to 5 was the schedule. And kind of like the main task they gave me for the summer was kind of making their online store, because they have a lot of merchandise that's just sitting in a room that no one's going to use. So a lot of my time was kind of dedicated towards inventory management and just making the online store in general, and kind of managing that once it was kind of off the ground. But being in person, there is definitely a lot of time to kind of just at least at Geekdom, there's a good amount of time to kind of play around and mess around and just kind of have a fun time, chat about completely random topics that are just fun to talk about.
It's so interesting to hear how unique everyone's experiences are. So I want to say my Verizon internship was semi-structured. Every day at 7:30, every single day started with a security operations briefing where the threat intelligence team would basically tell us all the horrible things that were happening in the world in cybersecurity, just so for everyone's like situational awareness, so we knew what we were getting into that day. And then throughout the day, this is when the semi-structured stuff comes in. I would do like rotational training with a bunch of different teams in cybersecurity, threat intelligence, digital forensics. I kind of got like a well-rounded experience, and those would be structured meetings. But outside of that, I actually got to pursue an original research project outside of my work in artificial intelligence model security, which was really interesting. And I wasn't assigned that, but my supervisors allowed me to take on that project, which I really liked. So if you ever feel like you're not being challenged or there's something that you're really, really interested in your internship, people are going to be more than happy to support what you want to do, especially if you're just doing extra work and it's like, no, do more, they're going to accept that you want to learn and your curiosity is going to be super encouraged.
Excellent, thank you. I did switch to slide panic. Panel's not over yet, but I did want to remind you all to sign into today's meeting so that you can earn the benefits of getting a t-shirt, some swag, participating in giveaways, be invited to our banquet at the end of the academic year. Make sure to scan that QR code and sign in, and it'll be up for another 10 minutes or so. So the next question, What challenges did you all face during your internships, and how did you overcome them?
Yeah, for the Princeton one, that was my first internship. And I think that I was just really intimidated because, it's like a flashy school and everything. Like, the other interns, it was only 5 other people. And they were, from like MIT and like Harvard, stuff like that. So I think that I was just already like, why am I here? So that was just something that I just had to get over. Because I think that was kind of silly of me to like focus on so much. So yeah, definitely for my first internship, I just had a lot of imposter syndrome because all these other people are physics majors and like I'm only a physics minor. But I think I was just focusing on the wrong things, and anyone can do the work as long as they're willing to like do the time. So that one, I think the more I did it, like I was super, super interested in it, and that really helped me kind of get over all the little silly things that I was worrying about. And with Paycom, I don't know, I feel like it was just so different than the Princeton one. Like we would have so many meetings, and it was just super, super structured, and I just was not used to that at all. So that was something I really had to get used to. So I think it's just being able to adapt really well. That's what's going to help me with a new job.
So I agree with Desiree 100%. Imposter syndrome was very real for me, especially being like my first internship and with the government. So I was like, man, I don't know what I'm supposed to be here, but you get chosen for a reason. And so one of the other challenges for me was, the government uses a lot of acronyms. You can get in a meeting and they can go a whole meeting and just talk to you in acronyms. So that was me. But that was me in the beginning. Luckily, there's like websites that had explained those to you. But I asked a lot of questions too. Like I would join a lot of meetings with my team, all relating to the government travel charge cards and government purchase cards. And there's just so much information being thrown at you. There's so many acronyms. You have to make sure, everyone's compliant. There's so much to it. And the thing that really helped me a lot was ask questions. And one of the things that I was very, very transparent about with my team was, the way that I learned is you kind of need to explain to me why things are done this way, like what is the purpose behind it. And my mentor, she did a really great job at explaining to me, these are the acronyms, this is what they mean, this is why you do this, this is why you do that. So definitely be very transparent with whoever you're working with, your supervisor, your mentor. You're there to help them, but you're also there to learn. So make sure you're taking something from it, and they will be more than happy to help you. So just, tell them this is my learning style, and if the better I learn this information, well, the better I can deliver, better work too. So that's also another key to their help, is just be very transparent with the supervisors.
Yeah, so I guess there's going to be a common thing here about imposter syndrome. And funny enough, Brian and I actually talked about it before the start of our internship. And yeah, being honest, I changed my major a total of 3 times. Didn't really know what I wanted to study. And as a result, I felt like I didn't have that experience or knowledge whenever I entered my research, right? Just like Desiree, we had people coming from very prestigious universities, and then you had that one guy from UTSA that no one really has heard of. And so yeah, definitely overcoming that was a little bit hard at the beginning, but as I got to know my team or the members who I was with, the cohort, I just got to know them, and at the end of the day, we're all just people, just from different schools, right? So just overcoming that was really great. Another thing that I really struggled with was the lab meetings. every week we would have a 2-hour lab meeting, and a lot of graduate students would come and talk about what they did that coming week and the results of the research. And I'll be really honest with you, half of the time it was like super lost. You're talking about things that are like up here, and I'm like down here. And yeah, but by asking questions and getting to know what the research is like and showing that you want to learn more about what they're doing, that really helped me out, not just learning-wise, but communication-wise. You know, you definitely are able to get some connections by doing that and show that you are willing to learn about what they're doing. And yeah, it's one of those.
So for Geekdom, I guess I'm gonna start this saying every internship is different, very different structure-wise, everything like that. So when Geekdom first took me on as an intern, they had me under a marketing role and being a computer science major. I was like, why am I here? I'm not a marketing student. I don't get why I have to do this. So my first day there, I kind of brought up those concerns. So I think the first thing is always, if you have any concerns about your internship, and if you're not really sure if you fit in or anything like that, bring it up to your supervisor or whoever that is overseeing you, because they want you on the team and they want to keep you on the team. They want to make sure you're happy and that you're actually learning something that you're going to use. So always ask about anything that you have concerns with, and they will be more than happy to help you out to adjust those. So for me, I brought up the concerns of, well, I'm not a marketing student, so I don't really know how to market anything. But they're like, well, we have like a store that can be made. And I was like, well, I can make a store. It's not something I'm familiar with doing, but I'm more than happy to learn and kind of take the steps of doing that. So I think the most important thing is always just don't be afraid to like say something and feel like any concerns you have, because especially as a university student or an undergraduate, you bring a very, very, very different viewpoint from people that I guess don't know like everything about what's going on with our generation and everything like that. So you offer a lot of information that is very valuable, so don't be afraid to share it.
Yeah, that's really great advice. I just want to give a quick note regarding imposter syndrome. One of my greatest professional mentors told me the best advice I've ever heard in regard to imposter syndrome. And she had said, anyone who feels imposter syndrome are probably the people that deserve to be in their spot most. And if you don't experience imposter syndrome, or the people that don't experience imposter syndrome might have a confidence about them that they don't necessarily deserve. Because humility is at the core of people who work really, really hard. And being humble and having that attitude about, maybe there are people from prestige colleges that are my coworkers, and I'm nervous because what if I'm not as good as them? If you're feeling those ways, you are the person that's going to ask the questions, and you're going to work hard, and you're going to make yourself stand out. So use it as a strength instead of something that's going to inhibit you, because people with imposter syndrome are the ones that are going to be the most successful once they overcome it, just because of the work ethic that has to come with that sort of feeling.
Excellent. Thank you for closing us off with a wonderful tidbit from your mentor. And unfortunately, we are closing in on the final minutes of our meeting. I want you all to give our talented interns a big round of applause. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedules to come speak to us. And I know there may be some questions that were not answered here today, and that's okay, because we as an organization are here, not just in meetings, but outside our meetings in our Discord server and other mediums to give you any guidance that you may need. And just remember, as we close off this meeting, that we are here for you, and we'll listen to whatever you have to say, and we will give any guidance we can to make sure you are successful. And with that, I will turn it over to Janelle. Don't forget to sign in, guys.
Yes, very well spoken by Trey, but I just want to thank you all for making the time to come to this meeting. For those of you who tried it out in person with us for the first time in almost 2 years, a year and a half. So thank you all for being here. And we have some of our upcoming events. Don't forget, Rowdy Creators is going to be in the same place tonight and also on their Discord at 6 p.m. Building one of their projects is a great way to end up like one of these people up here with an internship. And then this weekend we have ICPC from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Discord. And then to start out next week, we have our first intro to tech, which will be at 2 p.m. on Monday. So with that being said, we'll see you all at our future events. Thank you all for coming out, and we'll see you next time.